Dear students, have a great day to all of you. Can you remember in the introduction video, we have informed you that we are going to start the new program for you through our Science with Deshan Facebook page as well as SL Largentum YouTube channel. So, this is the very first video we are going to launch for you, right? As I mentioned earlier, we are going to start past paper discussions and special theory parts in your O-level science syllabus. Still, you are not late. Still, you have time. Very few months remaining before your O-level examination. Are you ready? Yes, definitely I know you are ready. But still, there may be some issues in your syllabus, in your knowledge. This is the time to recorrect them. This is the time to re-improve your memory. This is the time to refresh your knowledge. So, let's start with our today's lesson. So, I have categorized mainly in your science syllabus basic chemistry part, advanced chemistry part, and basic biology, advanced biology, and basic physics part and advanced physics part. So, I thought that it's better to start today's program with basic chemistry part because still there may be some problems with you, right? In our SL Largentum YouTube channel, when you go down, sometimes you will come across the previous videos that we have already made for your previous batches. You can also watch them no matter. English medium videos as well as Sinhala medium videos are also there. But it's better if you can complete them earlier and join with us hereafter what we are going to give for you. Right, well, I think you are prepared. So let's start today's part. I hope to complete today's part, chemical bonds. So mainly chemical bonds, there may be two chemical bonds as you know. One is ionic bonds and one is covalent bonds. So let's briefly and simply and very interesting way, let's explain about what are chemical bonds, how chemical bonds are made with two atoms, how those are happening, how electrons are changed with each other. Everything will be discussed today. So keep in touch with our today's lesson. And right, chemical bonds, that is our today's lesson. Right, so children, as I mentioned you earlier, there are two chemical bonds we can identify mainly. One is ionic bonds and other one is covalent bonds. So it's better if we can discuss about what is ionic bonds and how those are happening, right? Okay, children, now you know about the periodic table, no? There are 20 elements in periodic table, right? Shall we read first 20 elements of periodic table? Can you read with me? Shall we start? Okay, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Those are the first 20 elements of periodic table, right? I think you are aware with that. I told you earlier in previous videos as well, without the knowledge, without the correct order of this periodic table, children, you can't go through even with a single mark of basic chemistry part. Please make sure that. Why? Because basic chemistry is entirely made with first 20 elements of periodic table, its characteristics, number of electrons, electronic configuration, these things. I think you have a little bit of idea right now what is electronic configuration, subatomic particles, who found those subatomic particles, these things, right? It's better if we can quickly refresh our memory because this is the first video that we are going to introduce for you now, right? Subatomic particles. Now, atom can be divided mainly into three subatomic particles in your syllabus, right? One is electron, other one is proton, other one is neutron. Can you remember who found electron? Yes? Within 3 seconds, can you give me the answer? 1, 2, 3. Who is the answer? What is the answer? Electron was found by J.J. Thomson, right? What is the charge of electron? Negative charge. Negative charge, right? Then, who found the proton? 1, 2, 3. Yes? Ernest Rutherford. Ernest Rutherford, right? So what is the charge of proton? Positive charge, right? Then neutron, right? I told you neutron is not like electron and proton, right? It's like what? It's a neutral charged particle, right? Then who found that? James Chadwick. James Chadwick. I think you are familiar with those three because this is the very first and simple knowledge you should achieve, right? Okay, well, And you know how to find the number of electrons of each atom, how to find number of protons of each atom, isn't it? If you know the correct order of the periodic table, my dear children, you can easily find how many electrons are present in each atom, how many protons are present in each atom. Let's take one example. Sulfur. Sulfur is the 16th element of periodic table, isn't it? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur. Sulfur is the 16th one, right? It means the atomic number or the number of protons of sulfur. How many? There are 16 protons. 16 protons, right? 16 protons. Then how many electrons? If the atom is there with 16 protons, right? Electrons are also equal to the amount of number of protons. You know this, right? Then how many electrons, children? 16 electrons, right? So can you see? That's what I told you, right? That's what I told you. If you don't know the correct order of the periodic table, my dear children, can you take the number of protons quickly? Never. Can you take the number of electrons quickly? Never. Understood the complicatedness of this? That's what, even if you have problems, regarding first 20 elements, make sure to remove those mistakes as soon as possible, right? Okay, so those are number of electrons you should know, right? So children, in our periodic table there are 3 special atoms are there. Can you remember? If I write this, I think you will remember who are they. Helium, neon and argon. Helium, neon and argon, right? Now let me know who are helium, neon and argon. They are known as what? Noble gases. Can you remember? Right. Why we call them as noble gases, children? I told you in earlier video, and if you are familiar with the previous videos, you know the answer. Once I tell the question, you should give me the answer with your mind, right? Why those are known as noble gases? Because all the energy levels are completed with what? Electrons. That's why those are known as noble gases. So that's why they are not making any chemical bonds. Now our topic is what, children? Chemical bonds, right? Why atoms or why elements are trying to make a bond? Trying to make a bond. Now in our day-to-day life also, right, you have experiences sometimes people are trying to make bonds with others, right? Likewise, atoms are also trying to make bonds with each other, atomically, right, and chemically, not like that way that we are seeing socially, right? So with what they are trying to make bonds with others? With electrons, right? But children, if you consider about this helium, neon and argon, if we write the electronic configuration of helium, 2, right? Neon, 2, 8, argon, 2, 8, 8. So let's write the number of electrons of each other in this side. Helium, number of electrons 2, neon, number of electrons 10, argon, number of electrons 18. That's what we wrote the electronic configuration here, no, right? So every energy levels are completed with what? Every energy levels are completed with what? Electrons, right? That's why these 3 elements, which are known as noble gases, they are not trying to make chemical bonds with each other. No need, no. Why? Because they are, all the energy levels are completed with electrons. But except with these 3, except with helium, neon and argon, other 17 elements of periodic table are not like that. Unfortunately, some elements are there, children, right? They have one electron, just one electron is needed, other every electrons are completed. Then they are waiting very sorrowful way. One day an electron will come and make me like a noble gas, right? Some elements are there, right? They are last energy level. Normally, you know, 8 electrons can be added in last out of first energy level, right? Just 1 electron remaining. 7 electrons are not completed, not included, right? So that kind of situations also can be found, right? So other atoms except with these 3, they are trying to make a bond with other atom, and they are trying to complete their energy levels by using their electrons, right? That is known as a chemical bond, right? That is known as a chemical bond. So chemical bonds can be happen with two ways, right? Chemical bond can be happened in two ways. One is, children, making ions, right? Making ions. I'll explain you what is the definition for ions and what is an ion, right? Other one is sharing their electrons with each other, right? If two atoms are trying to make a bond by making ions, those kind of chemical bonds are known as ionic bonds, right? Now our today's topic is that one, right? Then some elements are there, they are trying to share their electrons with each other, right? And try to do some kind of a, try to make some kind of a bond, right? That is also a chemical bond, right? But what is the name of that? Covalent bond. Covalent bond, right? Covalent. That's what I told you, right? There are two bonds. One is ionic bond, other one is covalent bond, right? Let's check with one example whether that is correct or not, right? Okay. Now, children, I told you what kind of elements or what kind of atoms those who are trying to make bonds, except with noble gases. No, why noble gases are not making bonds? No need. No, why? Because their entire energy levels are completed with electrons. That's what they are not sharing electrons or not gaining or not releasing electrons. So no need, right? They are stable, right? They are stable and they are stated with one atom, right? Without making any other bonds or without making any connections with others, right? Okay. Now let's take one example for your knowledge, right? And have the idea, right? Let's see about an example, children, right? So as I mentioned earlier, right, by using an explanation and example, we can easily understand this one, right? Okay, I select sodium, right? Now sometimes you will think that this part is very easy, right? So if you are very much familiar with that, it's better if you can watch this at least one time. But some students are there. Now we should think about everyone. No, that's what we started this program for, you know, right? Free of charge. So sometimes still some students are there. Sometimes those who followed my Facebook page and those who subscribe my YouTube channel as well. Sometimes very few students will be there, those who are not familiar with that, right? So for the beginners, right, we should start from this step. That's what I mentioned earlier, advanced and basic, right? So we can take you from basic part to advanced chemistry part, right? Okay. So sodium, right? Now quickly tell me how many electrons with sodium? 11. It means electronic configuration 2, 8, 1. Now these are the energy levels of sodium, no, isn't it? This is the first energy level of sodium, right? Second energy level of sodium, right? Third energy level of sodium. Now you know how many electrons or how many, now what is the number of electrons which can be filled in a normal way for each energy level, right? First energy level, how many amount of electrons can be filled? 2. Second energy level, 8. Third one, 8. Fourth one, 8. Like that, the electrons, filling of electrons are going up, no, right? So now can you see here, first energy level 2 electrons, second energy level 8. It means both are filled, right? No matter. But think about this third one, children. 8 electrons can be filled. So how many electrons remaining just right now? 1, right? Then, right, this sodium atom is deciding, right, to remove this electron which is located in last energy level, right? Last energy level, because now sodium is thinking, by doing what, I can be like a noble gas or I can be stable, right? He has two options. One is he can release this electron easily and he can keep these 2 and 8. So if that sodium is doing that, no matter, stable, because this is completed and completed. Other one is sodium can wait for 7 electrons, right? If 7 electrons will come and join with this one, then 2, 8, 8, right? No matter, that time also it is getting stable. But what is the practical one? Do you think that 7 electrons will come and ask sodium, can we join with us like that? No, right? So that's why what will happen? This 1 electron is remaining, or is releasing there. Then children, right? Now what will happen? Now when this electron is going away, what is the rest? 2, 8 only, right? 2, 8. Hereafter, we can't tell. Now, previously with 11 elements, we told this is a sodium atom, no? Right? Sodium atom. But now, when that electron is released, thereafter, we can't tell this is a sodium atom, right? This is known as sodium ion. What is the name? Sodium ion. How to write sodium ion? It is the very important thing you need to remember, right? Now, how many electrons are remaining with sodium ion? 10. Why? 1 electron was released, right? So, we can write sodium's symbol as usual, right? And here now what happened, children? Electrons are, or 1 electron is removed, no? Or 1 electron is released, right? By whom? Sodium. Children, to show that, to tell that 1 electron is removed or 1 electron is released, we have to put this positive mark, right? Plus mark. We have to put this positive mark. Why we are using positive mark? To show that 1 electron was, to show that electrons were released, right? Only to show that electrons were removed or electrons were released. That is why we are using this plus mark. Okay, make sure that, right? Then, how many electrons were removed by sodium? Only 1, no? Here, 281, the last electron which was in the energy level was released, right? So how many electrons were released right now? Only 1. So, at the front of this plus mark, we are putting number 1, right? So, this is known as what? Sodium ion. Now, did you understand how sodium atom was converted to sodium ion? Yes, but normally we are not using number 1. Okay, so that's why we need to erase this one, right? So just only put sodium plus, but make sure that if no any number is there, means 1 is there in front of that mark, right? Okay, now what happened? 1 electron was released by whom? By sodium, right? Then when that electron is going, that electron was seen by another atom, right? Do you know who is that? That is chlorine, right? That is chlorine. Okay, so chlorine is also worrying about its electron amount. Okay, can you please let me know how many electrons are with chlorine? Yes, chlorine is the 17th one, isn't it? Then how many electrons are present? 17 electrons. Then what is the electronic configuration of chlorine? 2, 8, 7. Right. Let's write it. Okay. 2, 8, 7. Now let's check the availability of the electrons of each energy level. Now see the first one. Right. 2 electrons can be added as maximum amount. No. Is that completed? Yes, of course. Second one. 8 electrons can be added, already completed? Of course, yes. Third one, my goodness, can you see? 8 electrons can be added, children, but how many electrons remaining here? 7 electrons remaining, just 1 electron is not there, right? Then what can chlorine do? Wait for 1 electron, no? Remove these entire 7 electrons. It's not good, no? If that chlorine will release the entire 7 electrons, then what will chlorine is doing? Waiting for 1 electron. When that chlorine is waiting, chlorine is seeing that the electron released by sodium is going with that, right? Then chlorine is asking, can you join with me? I have 7 electrons in my last energy level, right? Only 1 electron is needed. Can you join with me? Right? Now see, this is the electron, right? This is the electron going right now, released by whom? Sodium, right? See how interesting this lesson is, children, right? Then chlorine is asking by this electron, what? Will you marry me? No, before that chlorine is asking, can you join with me? Since my last energy level 7 electrons, only 1 is not there, right? Then this chlorine is coming from whom? Sodium. So this electron is coming from whom? Sodium, right? This electron said, no, right? I can't join with you without asking sodium, since I am the sodium's electron, right? If sodium released me, right? I came from sodium, so that's why I can't join with you without asking sodium, right? So what will happen? This electron is from sodium now, right? So that's why because of this electron, now this electron is joining with chlorine, because of that electron, right, sodium and chlorine, they will have a bond, right? Why? The electron came from sodium, no? So sodium say that, hey, if you need my electron, you have to make an affair with me. See how unfair that is, right? So what will happen? This sodium and this chlorine will be making a bond, right? So children, see what will happen here, right? Now chlorine is obtaining this one electron, no, right? Then what is the electronic configuration of chlorine right now? 288. See, the three energy levels are completed, right? 288. So thereafter, children, we can say that it is a chlorine atom. Why? Because now chlorine was an atom when chlorine was having 287, but now chlorine has taken one electron from the sodium. Thereafter we can't tell this as chlorine atom, right? So what is happening right now? 288. Thereafter now we are telling that this is chlorine ion, right? So chlorine ion is having how many electrons right now? 288 means 18 electrons, right? So children, chlorine, what chlorine did? Now sodium removed, no? Sodium removed the electron. That's what we put positive mark here. What will chlorine, what chlorine did? Chlorine took the electron given by sodium, right? So children, to show that electron was taken, to show that electron was taken, right, by chlorine from the other atom, we are putting negative mark here or minus mark here we are putting, right? So we should put minus mark here, right, or negative mark here. Why? To show that electrons were obtained, electrons were gained. By whom? By chlorine. How many electrons? How many electrons? Only one, right? From whom? From sodium, right? So to show that one electron were obtained, we are putting number 1 in front of the negative mark. But as I mentioned you earlier, children, we are normally not using 1. So that's why we have to remove this one and chlorine minus. So this is the another ion. Now see, sodium has also become an ion. Chlorine is also has become an ion. Then what will happen? There is a chemical bond between sodium and chlorine happens. That bond is very strong bond, children, right? If you have an idea about the characteristics of the ionic bond compounds, they are very strong than covalent bond compounds, right? Now sodium chloride is salt, no, common salt, right? So you know common salt crystals are very strong, right? So that's why here this sodium plus ion and chlorine minus ion, they are making a chemical bond, and finally they are making a compound NaCl, right? So that this compound is made with sodium plus and chlorine minus ions, right? So that is known as ionic bond, right? So here, because of one electron, there is an affair connection between sodium and chlorine, right? The electron which was removed by sodium, right, was taken by who? Chlorine. Because of this electron, there is an affair connection, bond, right? All are same words, right? affair, connection, bond, everything, right? So because of this one electron, right, sodium and chlorine, they are making a bond, right? But that bond is very strong bond, so that is known as what? Ionic bond. Ionic bond. It's like the history lesson, right? Can you remember? Can you remember in history, have you heard that in previous Sri Lanka and other countries as well, the king or the emperor, right? King is needed to capture another country, right? But king is trying to attack with soldiers, but he understood that it's not practical, right? So king's another strategy is, king has a beautiful daughter, right? So they are making proposals and sending to other kingdom, right? We have a daughter, right? You also have a son, so their ages are also equal with each other, right? So can we make an affair? Can we make a marriage with them, right? So what will happen? Or the other side also will be made there, right? King has the son, so other kingdom they are having a daughter, like that, whatever, right? So because of that marriage, what will happen? One kingdom will be going under the another kingdom, right? Same thing will be happening there. So what is that at that time? What is the point? That daughter or that son, right? Because of that daughter, a connection will be happen with two kingdoms. Because of that son, the connection will be happen with both kingdoms, right? Likewise, right, if you apply this to this lesson, right, because of this electron released by whom? Sodium. That electron was taken by whom? Chlorine. Sodium say that if you take my electron, you should have bond with me, right? That's the condition with two, right? That's why sodium's this electron was taken by chlorine, right? So then chlorine is making chlorine ion Cl1 minus, sodium is making the ion sodium plus, right? Sodium plus, chlorine minus, they are making an ionic bond, right? There are several ionic bonds to be remembered for you. Lithium oxide, right, and magnesium chloride, like that. There are some other examples also you can go through how to make ionic bonds. But to explain the ionic bond, this is the best example, sodium and chlorine, right? So can you understand right now the entire lesson? I think less than half an hour we discussed it, right? That is the thing we need. Within short period, I want to give you the entire lesson knowledge without any other unnecessary things, right? Actually think that, children, right, if you get low marks for science, or right, if you have taken less marks for the term test, sometimes there are a lot of things in your mind regarding the lesson, regarding the syllabus, but those are not needed for you. Try to find the best part, try to find the most familiar part for you, which is needed to have the highest marks for the examination. That's what I want to give to you. Understood? Right. So this is the first video that we started in auspicious time for you, right? As I mentioned earlier, intro video. So see, very simple. Actually simple, isn't it? Simple. Sodium, sodium plus, chlorine, chlorine minus. So if you are the beginner or the basic student who is having the basic knowledge of science, I think you got the good thing from today's lesson, right? So what you should do is, right, you can promote our Facebook page and follow and like our Facebook page, and SL Argentum YouTube channel, very closer to 2000 subscribers, right? Your responsibility is helping us to ensure and make our channel up, and we are giving the best thing for you as well as we can. Okay, so my dear children, let's meet with another interesting lesson next day. Until that, have a nice day to all of you. Bye, see you all, and try to have the good result every time.